Hello students, I would like to give you 5 reasons why you should study Roman literature. Now, let me tell you, I wanted to record this video in Rome this summer, but I didn't make it there. So what I did instead is I went to a garage sale and I tried to find the thing at the garage sale that looked the most Roman to me. So I found these small apple trees to put behind me. They're fake. I don't know, they kind of gave me a slightly Mediterranean vibe. Maybe, like, a little bit? Just a little bit? Okay, maybe not, but hey, I tried. All right, so your first reason why you should read Roman literature is because, you know, when you read Greek literature, which I hope that you already have, it's fascinating, it's wonderful, it's epic, it's amazing. But we don't really know if Agamemnon lived, right? I mean, he probably is just a somewhat mythical figure. We don't really know if there was a King Odysseus. Maybe there was long time ago, but we don't really know. And when you read Roman literature, you're actually reading about real historical figures and real historical people that we actually know existed. So we know these people lived. If you love history, then I think you might love Roman literature as much as, if not more than, Greek literature. All right, the second reason that I'm going to give you for studying Roman literature, especially if you've already studied Greek literature, is that we read a lot more genres in this class. So in my Greek literature class, we read mostly epic poetry and Greek tragedy. And it's a lot of the same thing, like mostly just a lot of killing and war and violence that happens like over and over and over again. We do dabble in a little bit of comedy at the end of that year, and we do dabble with a little bit of poetry and a little bit of philosophy, but in Roman literature, we're actually going to read different kinds of genres. So we're reading a lot of biography by Plutarch. I think Plutarch was one of the inventors of a new genre, right up there with St. Augustine. He, I think, started to invent creative nonfiction as a genre. So he writes about real people, but he does it in a very literary way. We have poetry, we have satire, we even have some propaganda that we're going to be reading. Well, I don't know, you can tell me. Maybe you won't consider it propaganda. And we're even going to be reading some speeches and some sort of philosophical treatises. Can't remember which one it is, written by the Stoics, we're exploring different schools of philosophical thoughts. The genres that we're going to be reading are far more varied. And there's a lot more humor because satire is obviously a form of humor, and there's a reason why the Romans actually kind of invented satire, and that's tied in with their history. And so we get to laugh a little bit more in this class. There's a little bit more humor. Another reason I'm going to give you, reason number 3, is that I think it's the best way to read Shakespeare. If you're a little bit intimidated by Shakespeare, you're not alone. Okay, it's a very different kind of reading to do. It's hard to get used to. What's great about this class is that Shakespeare based a lot of his plays on Plutarch. He used Plutarch's biographies of great Roman figures as the primary sources where he got his information, and then he took that and he made it into a play during Elizabethan times. So it's really cool because you get to read the biographies of these characters from ancient Rome in Plutarch first, which is just like straightforward prose. It's actually a lot easier to read than a lot of what you might have read in Greek literature. All that verse poetry, the verse plays, and the epic poetry. So you'll read straightforward prose about the historical figures in Plutarch's work, and then you'll read the Shakespeare play based on that. So you'll already know basically everything that happens, so you won't have to be trying to figure out the characters and the plot just from reading Shakespeare. You'll already know what happens, you'll already have the background. Now you can read the Shakespeare play with all of that background, which makes it a lot easier. Okay, your 4th reason for studying ancient Roman literature, especially with me, is that in my class, we're going to do discussion boards every week. So if you were in my Greek literature class last year, you might have noticed that I was pretty stingy with the discussion boards. We really didn't start doing that until the very end of the year. And it's a lot of fun because that means you can talk about the material outside of class with your classmates. And it also gives you a lot of extra writing practice as well. So instead of writing just only papers for me, your teacher, and getting feedback on your papers, you're actually writing for your peers and interacting with your peers through the writing. And the boards are just a lot of fun because Miss Finnigan doesn't get to control the whole class. You can talk about anything in the material that you want to talk about. I will be supervising the discussion boards, however. The fifth reason I'm going to give you as to why you should study ancient Roman literature is that you can see the world that Christ came into. So, obviously, Christ was born during ancient Roman time. Obviously, he didn't live in ancient Rome, but the Romans and the Roman Empire were very much a backdrop of his life. And so we actually end the class, Roman literature, by studying some of the very earliest Christian writings. You kind of see this transition from the pagan world into the very, very beginnings of Christianity. And we do all of that through literature. And I guess this is a bonus reason, but the Romans loved the Greeks and they built so much of their literature standing on the shoulders of giants, as we would say. So if you study the Greek literature, it really is really fun to see what the Romans kind of did with it. They kind of took it and made it their own and put their own spin on it. So as a bonus reason, I guess reason number 6, you learn a lot about how creativity works and how the great conversation happens over the centuries, because we really are always building on what came before. Very few artists ever work in a vacuum. We take what came before, we put our own twist on it, we get inspired by it, and then through that we bring something new to the conversation. So those are my 5, with a bonus reason, reasons for studying Roman literature, and I hope that if you haven't picked out your classes, you will join us this year. And if you have picked out your classes, well, you know what? It's not too late to drop them and join us. So I hope to see you this year, and yeah, that's all. Thanks for listening.